And yeah, so let's just get with it. Advisor Rome will be doing the roll call in the background. Did we, I don't remember, did we have anyone do minutes from last GA? If we didn't, Barbara, VP Moreno, you just shake your head no, so that I know that they weren't done usually. Okay, then probably no one did them. All right. Okie dokie. Then we will move on to the corrections and approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. So like I just said, it's on our website. It's on the SharePoint. It's pretty much all over the place. You can't not run into it. Take a look at it, and I will entertain a motion to approve that agenda or make corrections to that agenda. VP Moreno.
I apologize beforehand if all of a sudden there's a dog barking in the back. But I would make a motion to move new business under public comments.
All right. Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Who is the seconding? All right. Sam Zebel, is that a second?
Yes, sir.
All right. All those in favor who are voting members, use the hand raising feature now and keep them up. And you can put them down. All those, we still got, all right. And all those opposed, you can put them up now. And put them down. And any abstentions, you can put them up now. And put them down. And all right, that correction has been adjusted. So new business is right underneath public comments. All right, so unless if there are any other corrections that need to be made or additions to the agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve it. And VP Said, is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
All right, do we have a second? Okay, all right. I'll give that to Senator Yildiz. Second by Senator Yildiz. All those in favor, use the hand raising feature now, and please keep them up. And you can put them down. And all those opposed, put them up now. And put them down. And any abstentions, you can put them up down. All right, and you can put them down. That passed, but that was the closest one we've ever had so far. All right, so the GA pass, the agenda passes for tonight. So moving down to public comments. First up is the institutional effect. Yeah, VP Senator Willis. Before I go on, you have a question that you'd like to address, or?
Yes, a question that I posted in the chat, but I didn't get a response to it. I was not able to open up the email that you sent, and I wasn't able to open up the documents in SharePoint. So I was wondering if somebody could drop them in the chat, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely. Let's do that.
While you're doing that, are we good to go with public comments A?
We'll go with public comments A. Yes.
Beautiful. So, hello everyone. Bet you have no idea who I am. But I am coming to the General Assembly this evening as one of the co-chairs for the Institutional Effectiveness Council. So that is one of the councils on shared governance. We will try to make this quick so that the Student Activities Board representatives can present after us. But I wanted Alan to be able to introduce himself as well before we jump into the slides.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Alan Capel here from the Institutional Effectiveness Council and Physical Sciences Department. So anyway, I'm glad to be here and get to know all of you for a few minutes. All right, thank you.
So we are going to share a project that we have been working on for a while that we're hoping to present as a policy to the College Assembly in a couple of weeks. So just an overview of our project. It started out as a subcommittee working between our council and the Diversity Community Relations Council. They came to us with sort of a request that some of our membership join them in working on looking at best practices around equity in research and assessment. So how do we take an equity lens when conducting academic research, doing surveys, focus groups, all of that sort of thing? What would that look like to improve that at the college? That subgroup initially kind of worked for 9 months or so and planned to just create a SharePoint site. But we really realized by the end of our work that that was not enough and that we wanted to bring a formal policy through the shared governance system that would integrate equity into research for honors projects, surveys, requests made through the Institutional Research and Effectiveness Office for faculty, that it would be more ingrained than just a SharePoint site. So for those of you who might not have a great grasp of what the research process looks like, we have this sort of little graphic to explain the different steps of conducting research. Because the subcommittee was really focused on gathering resources for each step in this process to help people who are starting from the beginning of what is my research question to make it more equitable and to think about how to be inclusive. So this process looks like first, the design is just coming up with your question. Collect is how are you gathering information? So in the work that I do, that is often surveys. So how am I going to actually get to the audience that I intend to be studying to gather the information that I am looking for? For faculty, that could be interviews, it could be going out there and looking at data sets that exist already. How are you getting the information? Then once you have it, how are you analyzing it? There are different statistical ways of doing that. There are qualitative ways of doing that. But at some point, data needs to be analyzed. And then finally, how are you displaying that data? So whether it's a report and with actual, graphics and things, or a written summary of what you found through doing that research. So those are the four main aspects. And I wanted to give a couple examples of how to take an equity approach to research, because I think it's a little bit abstract until you start thinking about some specific examples. So if I were working on a survey, there are different ways of phrasing questions that can be inclusive or exclusive. So for example, if I were doing a survey and the only options I had for gender were male and female, I might be excluding people who identify as non-binary, who identify as trans male, trans female, or other identities that are out there. So being thoughtful in the approach that you have to questions is going to make someone more or less comfortable with actually giving you the information you're looking for. The method of collecting data, you can unintentionally exclude people. So that could be from, if you're sending, I guess before the pandemic, there was particular access issues when it comes to technology. The college has done a lot to improve that over the last year, but if the only way you're reaching out to students out in the regions is by sending them an email, that may not be the most effective way to reach them, because we know that there are some significant technology access issues in the regions. So things like that. And then when it comes to análisis, acknowledging gaps that you have. So if you didn't hear from enough Latino students as you are gathering information, acknowledge that, and that makes it a more equitable process than if you just ignore that fact that you didn't get enough information. And then different methods of displaying results can emphasize or de-emphasize equity issues. So whether it's splitting things out and saying, this is how Black respondents responded, or ignoring the racial categories or ignoring different sexual orientations. It makes a difference. And by thinking about these things, the research that is being done will be more equitable. So hopefully that helps you to understand what our project is. We are hoping to propose a policy that will basically incorporate these equity lens, equity aspects into research in all of those different areas. So I was talking about students with honors projects in the classroom, faculty doing research, requests for data through IRE, things like that. So unless there are questions about the project, we have questions that we would love to get your input on the next screen.
Do we have any questions before they ask us questions? And Senator Ciardelli, I do see that you're having technical difficulties. Just do your best, and it is noted though. So anyone have any questions? Or else I'm just gonna let Faz Rome just go right into it.
And I'm gonna pass this to Alan to ask our questions.
Or Alan.
Okay, Alan Capel here. We do have a series of questions to ask all of you, and appreciate your thoughtfulness and your honesty on these questions. And again, this will be part of our analysis to come up with this policy statement. First, as you can see, the first question I have for you, for all of you, is if you have done a large research or honors project, have you been asked to think about equity? Were you given any resources for that?
I think we have two different ways we could possibly answer these questions. We could do one where we have everybody do a hand raise who can relate and say yes or no, and then we can go into more detail, or we can just have an open, everybody has something to say, they just talk and they just say it. It's really either or. So I'm going to just say, since we're getting not enough talking, let's do the hand raising feature first, and then hopefully maybe that kind of ease us into being able to have more of a discussion on it. So I'm going to say I'm not going to raise my hand. I've never done something like that. So, but it looks like we've got two people so far who have. And so for those two people, I would go in and elaborate in more detail, please. I would assume that is what Alan's looking for.
Okay, either one of you two would like to volunteer your information? Mina, you show up on my screen.
I can go first. So this is my first semester in the honors program, and I'm doing my literature review first, but then that's going to transition for next semester into an IRB proposal where I would be doing data collection, and I plan to do that through surveys and interviews, but mainly surveys. And I think this is really interesting because I didn't even think about certain questions. It was more of like a broad questionnaire that I was developing, and so I think this is really useful as well because it does give more information, and it is, it is equitable, and everyone can be represented in the way that they are representing themselves. So.
Okay, great, super. All right, very good, Barbara.
In my case, I have done projects with the honors program as well, but both were on different aspects. So I did a literature review as well, and then a biology one that was mostly research. I wasn't given specific resources regarding equity, but what the questions that we had before kind of reminded me of the Honors in Action project that is done with PTK. So for this specific semester, we have been working on trying to promote mental health in students of color in the college. So it has been a process of, again, doing surveys, trying to find out different like ways to reach out to students of all different backgrounds. And I guess that the different questions that were proposed could kind of help better, I would feel like, approach the way that we would like to do the project. I have never considered them the way that they were like written down. But we weren't given anything really specific. It was more like open research that we had to do by ourselves and gather that information from things around. And after compiling everything is that we were able to take on the next steps on the project.
Okay, really good. So sounds like some really good experience there. All right, wonderful. Okay, anybody else? Okay, it looks like that's it. Okay, all right. Next question I have for you is, what type of resource would be helpful for you as a student to consider equity in research? So what type of resource would be helpful for you to consider equity in research, if any?
Feel free to just everyone talk on this one. Anyone talk who is interested in, like Advisor Rome said, SAB reps, please, if you'd like, if you feel comfortable joining in on the discussion, we're, the more the merrier. You still yield as I saw that you had your hand up.
What I think is going to be the most helpful for me, at least, would be like one like document that highlights all of the specific parts of it and gives like a brief explanation. And having that would be really helpful for me to reference to if I'm doing a research or a research project like that. So that would be a quick way and easy way, and also an informative way to make sure I follow the guidelines.
Okay.
I was thinking on the same lines, kind of a guide that's easy to read, easy to use, that highlights everything specifically from considering equity in research, especially on those projects that, different, like from biology specifically, perhaps, on all the measurements and everything, but on certain types of research projects, how is it important to highlight this? And even, for instance, for the honors program, there's like a learning contract that you have to do beforehand about the project, and on that specific contract you have to write down the things that, will you do surveys, will you do research about something specific. Maybe it would be a good aspect, like a good thing to do, to kind of incorporate something on the learning contract that could reference equity in research, so that students, if they don't know about it, or it gives them a time like to think about it, at least, I would say.
Yeah. And I think some of these things are going to be evolving as we go forward, so they'll continually being updated and improved over time. So yeah.
Senator Zebel, you had a question as well?
Yeah, but it's regarding Senate, I guess. I would like to make a motion to suspend Robert's rules for this discussion, for everybody to include their, thought and talk.
All right, well, a motion has been made. Do we have a second to suspend Robert's rules for the entirety of this presentation / discussion? Second by VP Saeed. All those in favor, use the hand raising feature now and keep them up. And you can put them down. All those opposed, and as soon as you guys put your hand down. All those opposed, put your hand up. And put them down, and any abstentions, you can put your hand up. and put them down. The motion passes. Robert's rules has been temporarily suspended. And just in time for Senator Chardelli to be back in action. So just everyone feel free to openly talk. You do not need to be called on. Unless by Alan or advisor role. Let me just make that clear, but not by me.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Okay, all right. Next question, have you seen other students consider an equity lens in research projects that they're working on? So have you seen other students consider an equity lens in the research that they're working on?
I personally have not.
Seems like a no.
Yeah, so I had my hand raised earlier. I was gonna ask a question, but I can incorporate it into this point too. So I guess it's been quite a while. But I took AP statistics many years ago, and if I recall, that's something. Every kind of sampling that we're doing or research design should always incorporate a thorough analysis of like the characteristics that you're sampling and the boundaries, and basically the scope is extremely well defined. So it seems like this is something that should just be de facto in good experiment design. You should be considering these kinds of things and understanding exactly what data it is you're collecting from who, and kind of what are the constraints of that. So, and I think that goes into then the previous question, what kind of resource would be helpful? So if it seems like if we're getting the feeling that this isn't being done, or there's gaps in kind of what we're covering or how we're doing this procedure of analysis, maybe we could have some examples, like other people mentioned, like documentation. I think that could be helpful. Some examples of shortcomings that we've seen, so that we know to look out for them in the future, and we don't kind of recreate the same mistakes, or keep creating the same gaps in our coverage of whatever it is, whatever kind of data we're trying to collect, or whatever sample. So some sort of documentation, I think, just to summarize some examples, of areas of improvement, from the past that we kind of missed, that could be pretty helpful.
Very good, very good. And I think over time, there'll be some effort to create some best practices, that we'll learn from other research projects on how to go about collecting this data and so forth in a equitable, inclusionary way. So, yeah, it'll keep getting refined over time. Okay, anybody else on that one? Okay, if not, next question. Do you think students might be resistant to considering equity in research projects? You think there may be some students who might be resistant to considering equity in their research?
I'm going to speak here. I think that question really, I think the answer is, of course, you're always going to have that, but you're always going to have that with anything in life. Someone's going to say one thing, someone's going to say another thing. And so I think, yes, you're just going to have, you're going to have that either because they have a stink about it, they have a personal issue about it, or because they just don't care about it. And so it's not something that's a priority to them. So, but yeah, you're always going to have some, on the opposite side of the fence type of thing. And Jane, you can speak freely, yeah.
I was gonna say I agree with what you said, but I think it's more likely that people, at least students, are more considering equity when doing research than not in this day.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, I guess also in my mind, just to kind of reiterate to some degree what I already said, it should just be, de facto in good experiment design, you should have, everything should be clearly defined. You should be completely aware of like what samples you're collecting from what demographics and who's included and who's excluded from basically the design of your experiment or survey or whatever it is. So like, this is, if we're talking about research, it's about data and statistics and analysis. There shouldn't be a whole lot of room for, personal feelings or emotions or whatever it is, we're alluding to here. It should just be, pretty objective. So I guess, I don't know, we could just, call it bad experiment design at that point, if people aren't, being careful, or if they're not, clearly defining, what they're sampling and who and where and when and why. So yeah, I think this almost just falls right into the domain of, good best practices, as they already exist. And if we're wandering from them, we should just, revisit, the basics and make sure that we're sticking to them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I think along with this, it'll be important as time goes on. It'll be important to for the college to kind of extol the virtues, the benefits of employing an equity lens, in all research, and what difference that can make in the accuracy and the quality of the data being collected. So it'll be kind of a work in progress, I'm sure, moving forward. Okay. And then go ahead.
Our time. I don't want to take up more of the Senate's time, since I know there's another presentation that needs to happen. And I would love to see the SAB budget approved before we lose quorum at 5:30. So I say, if anybody has ideas about how the Student Senate could support this, if you can just email me, how to get a hold of me, that would be perfect. So thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Advisor Rome, for doing the presentation and giving us some more information on this. And so with that, I'm going to keep it moving along. Alan, you're always welcome to stay. Always love having our guests stay with us for the entirety of our meetings. But up next, we're going to move it down to the SAB Budget Presentation and Approval with some of our SAB representatives. So I'm going to let whomever would like to take it away. Looks like Anna. So go for it, Anna, and gang.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Anna. I'm a PTK representative for the in the Student Activities Board, and I'll be presenting with Jaden and Sabrina. Ellie, I don't know if Renee asked you to share the document from Ben. Otherwise, I can share.
It was emailed out ahead of time, but I don't have it up on my screen right now.
So let me just get it here open.
Do you want me to put it up on my screen? I can do that in a second. Yeah, let me do that. Do you see the document?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Do you want me to try to figure out how to close that? Maybe zoom in a little bit on that document. I always love guessing. All right. So you tell me when you need to move down. I just lost the ability to be able to view the room. So yeah, you just Yeah, just say, Sean, move it down or whatever, okay? So I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, sounds good. Jaden, Sabrina, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name's Jaden Hayes. I'm a representative for Campus Life on the Students Activities Board. Yeah, and I'm also a paralegal student.
And then I'm Sabrina, and I'm a representative for athletics on the SAB.
So I'm going to start the presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the revenue that the SAB has. So the revenue comes from the includes like the activity fee funding from students, and some revenue come from also the vending machines that right now they're not being currently used because we don't have students on campus or not many students on campus. And then currently the degree credit students in medicine and online, they are charged 6.5% on their tuition, and students from the technical programs, they pay a smaller amount. They pay, if you can scroll down for me, Sean, it's all the way on the bottom. Yes, so from the liberal arts, the fees 6.5%, that corresponds to $12.30. And for technical programs, they pay right now a fee of $9.20. And that's due to some difference between those programs, but a lot because of the transfer tools that students on the liberal arts have to use. And so that's a little difference. So our revenue comes from all of those the students paying those fees, and from the regional campuses, they pay a flat value of 3.25 per credit, regardless of program, because since they're not in medicine, they don't use transportation. We don't have shuttles to the regional campuses, and activities that they would have to come to medicine, like the gym and the performing arts, they would have like other expenses to come to medicine and use those places. So then they also, when the college made the calculation, they took all of those values out. So that's our revenue. So now, Shan, so if you can scroll up, I can just show you like right now we have our starting balance, projected starting balance is in $480. That's projected to be left, the first column, from this current fiscal year that's going to end in June. If we keep the expenses as we have right now, we're going to have that on our reserve. And the projected revenue to come in the next year, it's going to be the $2,235,044. So that's what we expect to receive in the next fiscal year, so 21 to 22. And I think now Sabrina is going to talk about the student life.
Yeah, so if you look under expenses, there's the student life salaries and fringe benefits, and SAB contributes some funding to many of the advising and coaching positions at the college. And then the college general fund also provides support for those salary and benefits. Also, in the budget process, these items are labeled non-controllables and are simply determined through the budget office estimates on salaries and benefits. And then if you look under the student activity allocation requests, these are all the organizations that presented their budgets. And each one of these organizations presented a funding plan that just included their goals, objectives, and justified their funding needs. And you can see kind of all their requesting and their requests. And that's basically it. And then I think goes next to Jaden.
Thank you. So if you look at the reserves, I think it's up. But the requested and estimated reserve balance is 45%. SAB bylaws only require 7 to 10%. The reason for such a high increase is because of all of the activities are done remotely and there's travel restrictions for clubs and athletics. So we're working on an SAB, we're working on updating the bylaws so there's some type of process that we can use the the reserve balance for a one-time fee reduction for student activity fees or a project, something that would benefit student life on campus. And then if you go down to the bottom, that's going to be put in place in fall of 2021 when we have the enrollment numbers finalized. And then if you look at the regions, there's a 50% cut for each region. That's because the regional, the regional student activity fee, that is only for students who go to class in person on any of the campuses. And obviously that's not happening as much as it used to be. So that's why there's such a big reduction there. And that's it.
Okay, well, thank you, all three of you. That was splendid. Any senators have any questions that they would like to ask? If they have any at all, they may not, who knows? But now is your time to ask away, and because it's our job to approve this budget. And well, we're in a process, but it's our next step to approve the budget on this end. So it's a lot of money. So ask away if you've got questions. Well, Barbara seems pretty content with it, so that's a pretty good gauge that we're doing good. I'm gonna give it probably about maybe another 30 seconds, and if I don't hear anything, then I'm going looking good. Well, you know what? Forget that extra 30 seconds. Is there I'm gonna say I will entertain a motion. If we are satisfied to have thoroughly looked through all of this, everyone feels good and comfortable about it, to entertain a motion to approve the Senator Willis right there. Question. What do you got?
No, I was going to make the motion to approve the budget.
Okay, well then all right, well, there we go. The motion's been made. Do we have a second? Seconded by VP Saeed. All right. Well, all those in favor, use the hand raising feature now, and please keep them up. All right, and you can put them down. And all those opposed, you can put them up now. And down, and any abstentions, you can put them up now. And you can put them down, and that has passed. The SAB budget has officially passed. So congratulations. Congratulations. It's past an hour, and now we've taken up to the next section of district board, I believe, right? But good job presenting. Like I said, stay. I tell everyone stay if they want to stay. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So I just can get it to stop doing that, and I'm gonna move down my agenda now. All right. So that leads us to, yes, thank you, Janine. Thank you, Janine, Sabrina, and Anna. You guys are amazing, really. I do mean that. All right, that sends us right down now to now down to old business again. Items. All right. And so that means that we now we looked over Bill 008, the excused absences and service hours. And that was last GA. We looked over it, did kind of like a first kind of read, if you want to call it like that. And now everyone's had the week to kind of go over it and have, bring up any questions, to any discussion, but we're going to try to vote on this today. All right. So, does anyone have anything to say first off about it? Senator Ciardelli.
I was just wondering, so I was reviewing that a few days ago, and I was wondering if we wanted to include recurring engagements. Like, I was looking at the language a little more closely, and it didn't seem like if someone has like a class every week at the same time, or, maybe something else that they need to commit to, do we want to include that in the language so that you can, as one of the acceptable reasons for having an excused absence, if it's going to be a recurring thing rather than like a one-time thing? Or do we want to leave the language so that you kind of need to request an excuse of absence each instance, each time, every week,
Well, the excused absence in its nutshell, for something spontaneous out of our control, a tree hits our vehicle trying to get to the college to make the meeting or whatever. All right, that's an excused absence or whatever, because it's out of our control. That, though, obviously being brought up to both the Senate advisor and the Senate president, having both make that that call or whatever. But in terms of I think the only, correct me if I'm wrong, advisor, the only aspect in the area where we kind of talk about anything that might be recurring, going on longer than a one-time spontaneous thing that happened that lets us miss one of our obligations, would come down to service hours, which we would then make sure that we'd have to, by the end of that current week's hours, we would have to have some sort of notification as to how long that might be going on.
Yep.
Yeah,
So the current, unless this group decides to add something about excusing known commitments, the current bylaws state that if it's for something related to Senate business, it's excused. Or if it's recurring like that, it would require someone to come in with a point appeal to basically have the points forgiven after the fact. So the main reason that this group was talking about only having it for unexpected situations is that those feel uncomfortable sometimes to bring through a point appeal, because a student needs to explain, I had a mental health situation come up and wasn't able to make it, or, I had a close family member pass away, that might be just more than they want to share with the entire Senate. Whereas through the point appeal saying, I have to go to class every Thursday, I think is a more reasonable thing to bring to the Student Senate for sort of forgiveness afterward. So that's how it would stay if this were passed, unless this group wants to consider an ongoing commitment.
And does that help kind of at least add a little bit more information. There we go. And that leads me to, if we wouldn't be though, if we wouldn't be voting on, if we chose to go down that road of adding that in there, let me just put that up there very clear and simple. I'm not trying to advocate. It's a group effort decision. So whatever the decision is, I'm just letting you know what would happen. We wouldn't probably end up voting on if we decide to do that, and went down that road of a reoccurring thing. But I do think that the fact that having something like being able to have points build up is kind of our protective boundary for things that happen when we have things like obligations that are non-Senate related, and that didn't really feel like, at least to me, that it was big enough of a concern to put it in at the time. But again, any discussion now before I entertain a motion to would this have to be done roll call, right? With this advisory role, am I doing that? Am I doing this? Or are you?
I'm
Okay.
happy to read the roll call once a motion is
Okay.
made.
Okay. So yeah, basically, yeah. Any discussions now for entertain that motion at any time? That's how we're gonna kind of play this out right now. All right. And everyone seems pretty good with everything, and it appears. Yes, Chardelli.
I was just going to make a motion to vote on the bill.
All right, a motion's been made. Do we have a second? It looks like that's seconded by Senator Sabranik.
Second.
All right, seconded by Senator Sabranik. All right, and she just throw in that any last discussion things that they gotta talk about right now. And she's like, no. And so then I'm gonna hand it over to her advisor Rome to go through. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, yeah, no, I'm right. Go for the roll call.
All right. So you are going to say aye if you would like this to go into the bylaws, nay if you do not, abstain if you can't make a decision. So VP Moreno.
Aye.
VP Syed.
Aye.
Senator Tardelli.
Aye.
Sabranik.
Aye.
Senator Willis.
Aye.
Senator Yildiz.
Aye.
And Senator Zebel.
Aye.
All right, it passes. So usually when we make bylaw changes like this, if it affects the current senators, which this definitely would, it usually is something that goes into effect after the new term begins. So we will sort of move forward as we have been and start to implement this in May.
Sounds good. Awesome. Congratulations, everybody. That was a big thing that we've been working on for a while now. So we did it. All right. Now, if I am looking at my thing right here correctly, so we have no non-business housekeeping items. Officer and committee reports, executive council report, President Green. No, we're just continuing to talk about transitioning documents, and then there was also just some very light, brief talk about that student sent merit award. We'll all find out more information about that later. But yeah, there wasn't really much to talk about besides transitioning and getting ready for what's coming up in these next few weeks with the GAs. So that's my report right there. We had no admin and finance report. Admin and finance committee that's ended at this point for this term. So legislative and rules committee is vacant. Team development committee, VP Moreno.
Hello, everyone. So, so far the first activity for the Senate, which is Get to Know Your Senate, will take place tomorrow. The time, and before I send it out, the invitations, I will send the link once again through here. And the idea is that you fill out the when to meet with your availability. So far, the times that most people are available are at 4 and 5 p.m. tomorrow. And well, I just wanted to, before sending out the invitation, have everyone fill that out. Other than that, nothing much other than transitioning documents, I would say. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And moving down to VP Saeed with Public Relations Committee.
Hi. I don't really have a report, but I just want to update on the Instagram takeaway of the Madison College. And I did post a lot of things, a lot of information about Senate. And I would definitely say to everyone to like to share the poster I have on the Instagram page or Facebook page so that people could know that they could vote and they should vote before tomorrow noon. So I think that would end my report here. Thank you.
Awesome. And yeah, great job with that. All right. So then moving down, we have special reports, advisor report with Advisor Rome.
So as you know, the election ends tomorrow at noon. I will be reaching out to all of the candidates who are on the ballot and otherwise elected through write-in after that noon deadline passes. And I will also send a summary early next week, probably to the entire Senate once everyone has had an opportunity to accept their seats. So look for that. And then, as President Green was alluding to, the Student Senate Merit Award, there are going to be 2 students receiving that award, and the winners will be announced at the Excellence in Involvement watch party that the executive leadership team is planning. That is on Wednesday, April 28th at 11:30 a.m. I will forward all of you the link to join. I assume they're going to record it as well. They did last year. So we'll find out then who the winners are. But just wanted to say here that every senator was considered for this, and it was a really good discussion. I think I can speak on behalf of the officers and say we're so grateful and proud of all the work that you've done this year. It's been a lot to manage with everything else going on in the world and in your lives. So thank you. If we could have given it to all of you, we would have. But 2 of you will be officially recognized at that ceremony. So I'll forward that soon, maybe even tonight. That is my report.
Thank you. Yeah, and we would have, if we could, given it to everyone. I would have at least definitely pushed for it. But yeah, you guys all did amazing work. But it's been keeping it up. You guys been picking up the pace when we need you. I can't speak highly. No. All right. So, Student Activities Board with Senator Sabranik. What do you got for us?
So, I think the Student Activities Board representatives that kind of gave the presentation to the Senate. They kind of, I guess, explain. I guess they kind of did explain a lot. Like we are definitely. I think we just got done with. I don't think there were any more, but we just got done with a lot of different budget presentations from all these other organizations. Took like about a month or so to like. I think they're like for the last month we've been doing that. But we are kind of officially. I think we're done doing that now. And I don't think I really can think of anything else that's really going on.
There is one more Student Activities Board meeting, I believe, and that is that's right after we approve it, and so nothing next week, nothing this week, and then next week, the last SAB meeting is on the 16th.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, but yeah, other than that, I think Oh, and did you get, since I was not able to be at that meeting on Friday, was there talk about who would be the, anyone being picked for the members for the summer?
Oh,
And-
no, not, I don't remember that, no.
Okay, yeah, all right, well then, we'll definitely figure out more about that later. All right, cool. Anything else, to report, or does that conclude it?
That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much, buddy. And then moving down, housing accessibility update is vacant. Digital equity update, Sarah Zebel, what do you got for us?
No report this week. Not yet.
Okay, any information about the name change potentially? How did that pan out?
It's leering towards MC Tap, it looks like, but we're not too sure.
If only we had an office pool going on, man. Man, someone in here would have gotten won that bet. All right, cool. Well, just keep us informed. Then moving down to the Racial Equity Committee with Senator Yildiz. What do you got for us?
So we're in the works of creating a schedule, because before we want to do recruitment, we want to be able to have a strong pathway, so we know what we're going to do. We're going to have a smooth transition. We're going to have the people come in, hopefully, and then we'll be able to have that schedule available so we can get started right away. The ideas that we have right now is to have a monthly schedule that repeats each month. So each month we'll have a topic, and each topic will be different every month. And then with that topic, it would be related to racial inequity. And we would do 1 week of research, another week of discussions with a guest speaker, and then another week of an action day. So that means we're going to actually try to, even if it's little steps, try to get that implemented one way or another or recognized. And we also do want to do some team development activities, and fun events, but we thought that maybe that would be outside of the actual meeting times. Yeah.
All right. And does that conclude your report?
Yeah.
All right. I'm very much looking forward to seeing. I'm very happy to hear about all that. All right then, and so I just disregard my phone. All right. Textbook Affordability Committee is vacant. Public Safety Committee, Senator Willis, do you have a report for us?
No report.
All right. And then WSG, Senator Sobranik, do you have a report for us?
We have another meeting this month in April. Our last meeting was literally following the legislative seminar, which was pretty much, it happened just right after it on the same day. So during the seminar, we had Lieutenant Governor Barnes speak and went on the whole day. And we also had a relatively short meeting after, which was, I think, less than an hour long. And yeah, that is pretty much concludes my report.
All right. My dogs might go a little crazy, so just again, bear with me. All right. So, well, I'm going to say you guys have been doing great. I'm really psyched and proud of all of you. I know it's gotten a little cold out, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's going to go back up. Remember, you got to get those virtual office hours done, log your service hours in the logbook, and just keep being the awesome team that you're being. And advise Rome, if you don't have anything or if you do have something that you would like to say, if anyone, go ahead and say it now, or else you know what time it is. It's that magic time where someone likes to throw their hand up and end this glorious and happiest moment of hanging out together. It looks like Senator Willis, is that a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Yep. All right. Well, there we go. And I saw VP Saeed. Is that a second?
Yep, it is.
All right. Well, then here we go. All those in favor, use the hand raising feature now and keep them up. And oh, there we go. Sorry. And you guys all did it anyway. All right. So this meeting has been adjourned at 5:32 p.m. Be safe, and we will see you next week. And I'm always around if you need me. So other than that, you guys have a great rest of your day. All right.
You too.
Bye bye.